Namaste. And today we're going to be working especially with the breath. Okay, I always encourage you to think about your breathing, and I offer inhales and exhales. Today, really, that's going to be our focus. But just like I say, every posture is optional, and you're to make modifications if something's not right for you. Same with the breath. I'm going to suggest that we hold some stronger poses or maybe usual poses, but for longer. If that's not right for you, then please modify it. But see if working, concentrating more on the breath, perhaps lets you relax into that and stay with something that at first you might think, oh, this is a bit uncomfortable. Just take those extra breaths, see if you can calm the system and stay with it if that's right for you. And I'm going to hold the breath a couple of times. So that's not great for everybody, especially if you feel a bit agitated. So you don't need to. If you don't want to do the ujjayi breath, then you keep a nice smooth flow instead. So let's come to sitting up nice and tall in your posture of choice, and allow the eyes to gently close or look down at the floor without losing that length in the spine. Let the crown of the head float up to the sky. And first of all, notice the breath as it is, so without any control or effort to change it in any way. Noticing how you are today, because the breath will tell you that. And even bringing the attention to the breath just as it is, our natural breath, helps soothe the system because it tends to start slowing the breath down. Okay, so we start from wherever we are. If the breath is shallow and fast, that's where we start from. If it's already long and slow and deep, that's where we work from. But gradually, you can start to bring control over the breath, thinking about breathing in and out through the nose. And then we're going to introduce the ujjayi breath. Easier to find on the exhale. So keeping the mouth closed, thinking about making that whispered E sound so that you get a little closure of the throat. If you want to do it audibly and then close the mouth halfway through the breath, that sometimes helps to get you in touch with that sound of the ujjayi, that smooth rushing sort of sound, whispered sound. And then if you're confident with that, you can try and bring the ujjayi in on the inhale as well. So feeling the cool breath hitting the back of your throat. And sometimes it helps to think like you're breathing directly through the front of your throat. And if ever you need to release for a natural breath occasionally in between, that's absolutely fine. Don't let the breath take you into any feelings of lightheadedness or dizziness. Once you get the idea of the ujjayi breath, then it will be a natural way to slow down the breath without any compromise on anything else in the system. So either breathing in and out now, using that ujjayi breath, or your choice, letting the breath be calm and deep and slow. Allowing it to soothe the system, and then seeing how it feels to take it into movements that we're familiar with, bringing the hands to the heart. Inhale, taking the arms up, letting them meet above the head. Exhale, bringing them down the center. And again, inhaling up and bringing them down the center. Next inhale, just the left hand is going to go up. And the right hand finds the floor as you exhale into a side stretch. Stay here for a couple of breaths today, rising up a little. See if you can send the breath into the side ribs, using the ujjayi if you can. Rising up through the middle as you inhale, those arms lifting, and over you go to the other side. Good. Lifting up, taking a light twist, so just a gentle twist. Staying there for a couple of breaths. Can you lengthen up? Turning the head if the neck is okay. And then coming back through the center on your next inhale. Ready to take a twist to the other side. And never worry if you are a little behind my instruction. Want you to move with your natural breath length, and that might be a little slower, a little quicker at times. Let's come back to the center. Bring the hands down the middle. And come onto all fours. We're going to take cat-cow, but with some dynamic movement forward and back. So I want you to set yourself up starting in child pose. So ease the hips back towards the heels. Let the arms be extended, but not stretched out today. Let the elbows be bent and the hands and arms rest on the mat. Take a couple of deep breaths here. Sometimes it's easier to find a pranayama, a different type of breath in stillness. And then on your inhale, we're going to rise up into cow pose. So let the head lead the movement and then arching the back, looking up. As you breathe out, rounding the back and the hips, take you back to child, but through that cat stretch. So the inhale, the hands pressing into the mat, pull you forwards, tummy dips, chest lifts, head lifts up for cow pose. And on the exhale, you round the back through that lovely cat stretch, push into the hands as the hips go back towards the heels for child pose. 4 more times like that, working at your own pace. See if you can let the breath lead the movement. So let it dictate when you start to change to the next movement. Maybe there's a pause at the end of the exhale, maybe a little pause at the end of the inhale. Try not to rush. Working with your breath length. Feeling into the movement. Letting the head and neck release. And then after this next round, when you come up through tabletop, staying there with a neutral spine. Connecting with the breath and deciding whether you want to come to downward dog or walk the hands forward for puppy dog, or half down dog. So if you want to walk the hands forward, that's fine. Keep the hips in the air. Otherwise, a little bit in front of the shoulders, spread out the palms, press into the fingers, tuck the toes and lift the hips. Keep the knees bent, find that long spine. And then you can walk the feet out by pedaling one heel then the other into the ground. See how those hamstring muscles are today, stretching out the back of the legs. Good. And bringing yourself to stillness, bending both knees together, push the hands into the mat and really take the sit bones up and back into the air. If it feels good for you, straightening the legs and then suggesting that the heels come down towards the floor. Good. And then everyone come back to kneeling. Just going to demonstrate 2 options for the next stage of that. So sit back, circle your wrists if you want to. We're going to do a twist either in our down dog or our puppy dog. So it will look like this, just watching for a moment. We'll either be up in down dog, and you need to have strong wrists. Take the weight of one hand and bring the opposite hand over to the thigh, and then we'll be working like this in a twisted down dog, or you can do that kneeling. So taking one hand forward a little way, reaching the other to the hip or thigh. So the important thing is we're going to take a twist and work on the breath. So up to you whether you want to take that extra weight on the arm, see how the balance is. You can always change your mind and come back to kneeling. So preparing either for down dog or walking the arms forward a little bit for puppy dog. Tuck the toes, lift up if you're coming up, and take a moment to put your weight into your left hand. Okay, maybe you want to bring the hands closer together. That might help with the balance if the hand that's taking the weight is going to be slightly more in the middle. You can bend the knees a little bit as you reach your right hand to the left thigh. See if you can look under your left armpit. Okay, and then I want to see if you can straighten your legs. Okay, you can keep bending and straightening them if you prefer, and see with every breath if you can slide that hand a little more down the leg. Use the ujjayi or a nice, smooth, deep breath. 3 more breaths if you can. You can come to kneeling if you want to. And everyone rest back down and ease back into child pose. Circle the wrists. See what effect that has on the body. So today we're choosing our challenges, and the nervous system automatically says, oh, what's happening here? There's a challenge, there's a change, and we can use the breath to soothe and calm it and see if we can bring that parasympathetic nervous system into action, the one that says everything's okay, rest and digest, even if we're in challenging poses or doing different things that would normally unsettle the body, and the brain would talk to each other and say, what's going on here? We better switch on the nervous system, speed things up a bit. So just observing what happens with you. Let's do it on the other side. So when you're ready, coming up to kneeling, either walking the hands forward a little for down dog or a lot for puppy dog. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips if you're in down dog. Again, hands closer to the middle might be a good idea. And bend the knees to get that left hand over onto the right hip. And then up to you. You can straighten the legs, draw the heels down. It's the exhale we're especially working on as we soothe the mind with the ujjayi breath or a long breath. Looking under that right armpit. Maybe coming a little more into the twist by sliding the arm down the leg. Doesn't matter where the hand reaches. We're looking for your edge and playing that edge. Backing off of it and then revisiting it. Last breath here. Come back down to kneeling, and this time drop yourself forward onto your belly. Rest down, ready for cobra pose, but take a moment there to pause. If you know cobra is not right for you, you can bring the forearms a little more forward and rest for sphinx pose. Otherwise, we're going to rise up, lift the chest forward and the gaze forward. Make it a baby cobra to start with, and then come down again. So thinking about your lumbar spine, how does that feel? Do a couple more. We want to engage the tummy muscles and use the upper back muscles to lift the heart forward. The legs and the hips stay on the floor. The toes point back or they can point slightly towards each other. That can help spread the lower back, the hips wider. Okay, and now see how it feels to take your arms back so that the hands are alongside the hips. You can rest down on your forehead or your chin. See how it feels to turn the palms down to the floor. And I want you to try and keep those shoulders relaxed. Don't let them come up around your ears. But like we were doing last week, if you did it, we're going to do a version of Cobra that's more like half locust pose. We're just lifting up the top half of the body. So on an inhale, the legs are staying down on the floor, but we lift the chest forward. We lift the head up. And then if it feels okay, we let the arms float up and out to the sides. And then on the exhale, come back down to the ground. And see if you can bring in a nice deep breath with this. So we're lifting up using the upper back muscles, lifting the chest, the shoulders, the head, and then the arms. Okay, if that doesn't feel right, you might prefer to keep the arms down on the floor. You might lift up a tiny bit. You might feel you can lift up quite a lot. Couple more times, working with the breath. Can you keep the breath steady and smooth? When it goes ragged, it's time to back off a little and relax down. Good. Have a little sway of the hips. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders, elbows tucked in to your sides. Press into the hands, little cobra. Press into the knees. Draw yourself all the way back, slowly, slowly, back to child pose. And we're going to take the cat-cow dynamic movements that we did at the beginning. So breathing in, rising up and forwards, coming into cow pose, lifting the head, and then rounding the back as you exhale, coming back into child. Noticing if it's easier to work with the breath. Once we've done this, once we've got the feeling of this, is it starting to happen automatically, bringing in either the ujjayi or your version of a smooth, deep breath. One more time. Good. And again, when you're next in tabletop pose, pausing there. I'm going to give you a couple of options for the next stage. So you'll probably all be familiar that we've been lifting one leg back and swinging it forward to look nose to knee. You can either do that and then swing the foot forward, or an option to, again, challenge the body as well as the mind. So only doing this if it's right for you. Can come into three-legged dog and do a version of nose to knee from here, our tiger curl. So you're either staying in tabletop pose now or coming up to join me in down dog. And we're going to lift the right leg behind us. So it will be a three-legged dog if you're in your downward dog pose. Inhaling with a nice long back. Exhaling, knee comes under the chest and you look towards it. If you're in tiger, in downward dog, you curl forward and then reach it back again. Okay, so however you're working with this, you're rounding the back on the exhale, drawing everything in using those core muscles. And on the inhale, you're stretching out, lengthening the back. If you're in down dog, you're really letting the weight come forward on the exhale and then using the hands and arms to push back on the inhale. This time, swing the knee forward and let the foot travel all the way forward so it lands between the hands. You can have a little shuffle there if it doesn't get there, dropping the back knee down if you were in downward facing dog. And making sure that the legs are hip width apart, ready to rise up in Anjaneyasana, our crescent lunge. Press down into that front foot. You can either do this in stages with the hands coming to the thighs and then the hips, or you can lift the arms up and take them above your head straight away. Okay, your choice to stay here or bring the hands to the hips. On the inhale, think lift the chest, look up if the neck is good. Exhale, let the hips sink forward. Can you use the breath here again? Any compression in that lumbar spine, you want to really draw the tummy back, maybe stay a little more upright. If it feels good, let the hips sink forward and you come more into a crescent. Good, last breath here. Finishing on an inhale and then exhaling the hands back down to the floor. Make every movement nice and controlled, seeing if it can work with that breath length. I'm going to tuck the toes under, step it back. You can come straight to kneeling if you want to, or stay in down dog, ready to do the other side. So it's the left leg. You're going to lift out behind you, pressing the hands into the floor. Find length in the spine. Exhaling, drawing the knee underneath and looking towards it. Let the weight come forward if you're in downward facing dog, and then back again. Keep with the breath. Do you feel stronger? The breath can feel like it anchors us, makes us feel more stable. Moving slowly, deliberately, mindfully. And ready now to swing that foot all the way through and drop the back knee down if it's not already. Well done. Prepare mentally to rise up, then press into that front foot and let it be your inhale. Don't let me tell you when to come up. Do it in stages. You can take several breaths to get into your crescent lunge. It could be very upright, looking ahead. It could be very curved, looking up. But work wherever you are with your breath length and let the exhales take you further into the posture. The hips come forward a little. Okay, if that doesn't feel right on your lumbar spine, then work with the breath and imagine that you're making the shape. Okay, it can have the same effect on the mind that we can create physically. So you're challenging yourself in some way. Last breath here, inhaling, exhaling, hands coming down to the floor. Step it back. And this time, hands and feet start walking towards each other to come into a forward fold. Bend the knees deeply, let the tummy rest down on the thighs if that feels nice. Let the head go, gentle shake and nod. Catch your breath here. Always when we're pausing, we're trying to take back control. Ujjayi means conquering, victorious. So we're self-soothing by using the breath. I'm going to take a couple of inhale, exhales with our forward fold. You can either do this how we've done it before, bringing the hands to the shins and coming into a half forward fold, and then releasing the hands, letting them slide back down again as the head drops down. Or if you want a little more work today, the hands can come to the hips as you inhale, coming up into your half forward fold and then bowing down again, or they can come out to the side. Okay, so decide what your shoulders want to work with, what's right for your body today, but we're using an inhale to bring ourselves to a half forward fold, and an exhale to fold down again. And if you want to keep the head a little more upright, then you're working with the hands on the thighs. You can always come out to the side on the inhale, but you don't have to come back down as fully into the forward fold. And notice if these movements can be slower than usual, if you're using that breath to dictate the movement. And watching for pauses. Let's bring in, if it's okay for you, a few seconds hold at the top of the inhale. And a few seconds hold at the bottom of the exhale. Just 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds. Do this a couple more times. So this is working the diaphragm now, holding the breath. So we're strengthening the diaphragm by contracting it at the top of the inhale and holding it. And then on the exhale, the diaphragm releases, and we're giving it that extra time to release at the bottom of the exhale. Okay, wherever you are, let your exhale be the last one, taking you into your fullest forward fold. Lift those hips up, bow the head down to the floor. And then your choice, you can either roll up to standing really nice and slowly, or you can sweep the arms out to the side and rise up with a flatter back, that reverse swan dive. However you come up to standing, bring yourself into mountain pose when you arrive there, arms down by your sides, palms face forwards. And again, let the breath anchor you in this pose. So we're in stillness. It's an opportunity to reassure the nervous system everything is okay. You can close your eyes if you want to. Check inwards. Okay. Notice sensations that are in the body and the mind. So just watch those thoughts as well. So let's challenge now our balance, and the breath can help with this. So we'll take our holy fig tree pose, thinking about your left foot being the standing leg. Take the right toes back a little. Take a fixed point to gaze at. Get that breath going. So let the ujjayi breath come back in if you've relaxed it a little. And then when you're ready, lifting those right toes off of the floor and bending the knee. You might tilt the hips forward a bit. You might have the hands on those hips or down by your side. And if this feels okay, then you lift the opposite arm up. So your left arm is going up, palm faces forward. Breathe here, or you can tease your balance a little more by taking your right hand out to the side. Your choice to stay with the breath in this static position, or to bring in some slow mindful movement. Inhaling as you are, exhale, elbow and knee come towards each other. And whichever option you're choosing, see what's happening with the breath. Do you hold your breath when you first come into a balance? Can you deepen and lengthen the breath to feel more in control? Okay, think about the core of your body, breathing in and out. Just one more time if you can, anchoring you into this posture, bringing the foot down, the arms down, and taking at least a couple of breaths before we shift sides. Notice sensations in the legs, how it feels different on one side to the other. How it maybe feels easier to breathe consciously when we're not worrying about what the body is doing, and then shifting the weight into that right leg, pressing down into the right foot and taking the left toes back. Again, you do this in your own time, lifting the toes off, coming into your balance, all sorts of options along the way. This could be your balance today. Maybe you lift the opposite arm up, palm facing forward. Your choice how much you tilt. Maybe the other arm comes out or it stays on your hip. And then you decide whether you challenge yourself to try and hold this pose for the next few breaths, or whether the exhale brings the opposite elbow and knee towards each other. And then out again. Can you do it with the breath? Really good. One more if you can. Coming out as gracefully as is possible. As that thought, I finished. Don't rush anything today. Coming back to Tadasana and enjoying the ease of the breath when the body is not under strain. Good. Then turn to your left, ready for our warriors. We're going to stay in our warrior two and then move into side angle today. Again, if you want to bring hands to the hips rather than having them out and up, then absolutely fine. So if you can stay with the breath, even if you decide to come out of everything and rest, stay with the breath and use it. See if you can self-soothe yourself today. So nice wide stance, and then we'll turn the right toes towards the front of the mat. Bring the left foot in at that little angle. Inhale, take the arms up, shoulder height, look down that right arm, and then exhale, bend the right knee. And take a few breaths to settle into your warrior two. Maybe each exhale can drop the hips a little further and be prepared to wriggle that front foot forward. So we're ideally trying to keep the front knee over the ankle, joint above joint. I feel really safe and secure and strong in this posture. Back foot presses into the ground and you breathe. Working with your breath. Hands can come to the hips if it becomes too much all about the shoulders, but see if the breath helps you stay with discomfort today. Have a sneaky look. Is that knee over the ankle? Is it wandered inside the foot? Or is it still pointing in the same direction as the middle toes? We're going to come into side angle. A nice big breath in. Exhale, bring the right forearm to rest on the right thigh and let this left arm rest on top near the body to start with. If you want to, you could take a block here or books if you prefer to push down into the floor rather than onto your leg. You can always bring fingertips to the floor. And I want us to work the neck a little here. So starting gazing down at the floor or over your right shoulder, if that feels comfortable to you. Nice big exhale. And then as you inhale, turning the neck, and you can lift the top arm. You can either lift it up a little way, all the way up to the sky, maybe even up and over so that the hand is pointing over the head. And then as you exhale, bringing it back down to the body and turning the head so you're looking down at the floor. 3 more times like that in your own time. So we're working the head, neck and shoulders because that is where we hold a lot of tension, a lot of strain. And often if that area is tight, the breath is shallow and in the chest. So we're trying to keep the breath nice and deep, going down into the belly. When you're ready, it's going to be an inhale that rises you up and an exhale that sinks that knee down into warrior two pose. We'll just take a couple more breaths here till everyone's together. Great. And then we're going to turn to the back of our mat to come into warrior two on the other side. So an inhale crosses the wrists in front of the hips, the toes start turning. Big circle with the hands. And now the left toes are turned to the back of your mat. You're turned away from me. Adjust the feet. So you might need to wriggle the front foot to the side one way or the other. You might need to bring the foot towards you or away from you. Maybe the hands now are ready to come down to the hips, or you've still got them shoulder height. Okay, and establish this posture with the breath. Is it harder, the second side, after working already in the other direction? Can the mind stay with the breath rather than wandering off to thinking about shoulders or legs or shopping or being bored? Stay with the practice. Nice big breath here. Drop those hips down a little more if you can. Then we're going to come into our side angle on this left side. So on an exhale, left forearm drops down to the left thigh, right arm comes to the top of the body. We're turned to our side here, and the gaze is going to start off looking over that left shoulder or down at the floor. When you're ready, on an inhale, as the head starts turning, that top arm lifts up. Doesn't have to come very far, or it might want to reach up and over. Exhale, it rests back down as you turn the gaze. Now, if this makes you feel dizzy or unbalanced, you can make the movement smaller. The idea is that we're freeing up the neck and shoulders, and maybe the head just turns from side to side a little rather than turning all the way up. I wasn't counting, but I think we've probably got one more time to do this. When you're ready, let it be an inhale that rises you up, and then exhale to re-establish warrior two. Okay, this is a long time to be in these postures. We're going to turn back halfway. So crossing your wrists in front of the hips, the toes point to the wide edge of the mat and stay there. Nice big circle with the hands, but we're not turning into warrior two. We're still facing the long edge of the mat. Hands can come down to the hips, ready for a wide-legged forward fold. So really lifting up through the heart, through the crown of the head, and exhale, fold from the hips. The knees can bend a little if you want to. Folding down, hands can find the floor. If the floor is not there to find, then choose either to hold on to the legs, the shins, or again, it might be an opportunity to grab a block or a pile of books and bring the floor up towards you. So take a moment here, sway the hips a little, maybe bend one knee then the other, and establish yourself in your forward fold. Again, if it's okay for you, then the crown of the head slowly comes down closer to the floor. If you want to stay more upright, then you stay more in a half forward fold. Working with the breath, maybe the crown of head comes down towards your block or pile of books, or if it's close to the floor, maybe it comes to the floor. You might have to heel toe your legs out wider. Don't want you to go into the splits, so if that's not right for you, you heel toe them back again. Couple of breaths. Okay, these inversions are soothing to the nervous system. So it wants to be a posture that you can stay in without the body tensing up and thinking, what the heck is going on? Can you use the breath to take you into that soothing state of mind where this feels good? Nice, deep, slow breaths. Last exhale, really bowing down, straightening the legs as much as feels good for you. And you can bend the knees. Start walking the hands around to the front of your mat, turning the toes as you go. Step that front foot back. You can walk out the legs in down dog, or you can come straight to kneeling. We're all going to end up in a restful pose, so you can come to child pose or laying on your tummy when you're ready, whatever you prefer. And again, when you're in stillness, does the breath now feel easier to bring under control? And check in with the heart rate, the muscles. Can you soothe anything that has been jangled? We're deliberately upsetting the equilibrium of the body, giving ourselves little challenges, and then seeing if we can bring ourselves back to this homeostasis, this feeling of everything being okay. And gently pressing yourself up to tabletop. Hands under shoulders, unless you prefer to come down to forearms here, which is absolutely fine if you want to. We're going to take that left arm out to start with, out to the side for a big stretch through the fingers. Thread it under, but not settling on the floor. So coming into a little twist, threading left hand under the right, and then unraveling again. Inhaling, exhaling into the twist, seeing if the body can turn a little more. And this third time, on the exhale, you just thread the left hand through and let the left shoulder and cheek find the floor. This should be in a twist, fully supported by the earth. It might feel tight at first. Breathe into the back. Breathe into where you're feeling any tightness. If you want to, closing your eyes and using any breath that is right for you. So either deep, slow breaths or that ujjayi. Last couple of breaths on this side. Ready to bring your right hand, closer to your face. Press into the ground. Lift yourself up, unravel. Exhale, hand down to the center. Ready to take that the other side. Inhale, right hand lifts out. You can follow it with your eyes if you want to. And then exhale into the twist without settling. Inhale, opens you up. Okay, this is preparing the body to stay in the twist. It likes to learn what you're up to. So we're showing it the movements we're going to make. This time threading the arm underneath, resting down onto that right shoulder, that right cheek. The left forearm resting on the ground. And allow yourself a couple of breaths before any expectation of accepting this pose. Brain and body communicating with each other, sending feedback, tipped ourselves into a different position, recalibrates, is this okay? The breath tells it, yes, it is. And then it can find relaxation in this posture. Preparing now to unwind. Left hand comes closer to the face, presses you up. Lift that right hand out one more time and bring it to the ground. Good. Sit back on your heels. Spin the legs around in front of you and take them wide. If you want to get a block or a cushion underneath the hips to make this more comfortable, there's no balancing this week, so you can come here and stay on your blocks. Toes point up to the ceiling, reaching through the heels as best you can, lengthening down the back of the legs. Okay, so the legs might be straight, there might be a little bit of release in the knees. I'm going to twist from side to side and then take the same twist that we did in either our down dog or our puppy dog and talk you through it. So inhale and take the arms out nice and wide. Exhale, the left hand is going to reach towards the right foot. And then inhale, come through the center. Exhale, the right hand is going to reach towards the left foot. Doesn't matter if it is touching it or is nowhere near it. Inhaling up. So one more time like that each side. Trying to keep the back nice and long. So I'd rather you had a nice straight back and didn't go anywhere near the toes than reaching the toes but rounding the spine. Good. Now bring the hands down to the floor a moment, and we're going to tuck the right foot in to the left thigh, so bending the knee. And this is as though we're setting up for Janu Shirshasana, our nose to knee posture, our head to knee posture. So I want you to have the torso facing the long straight leg, but we're not going to bow over it in the traditional way. And we're going to do our little twist. So let's inhale both arms out. And as we exhale, that right hand reaches towards the left toes, but I want it to rest somewhere on the side of the leg. And that left hand can touch down behind you. Now inhale and lengthen the spine. Exhale, bow forwards. And you can make this really dynamic. Each inhale, sliding the hand up the leg. Each exhale, sliding it down. Or you can stay in the forward fold. So I trust you to do what's right for you. If you're staying in the forward fold, it's because it's comfortable for you and you feel that you've got a long spine. Maybe the hand slides down and holds the outside of your foot. If the thought of doing that makes your spine round and you have to bend the knee, there is no need to go that far. So we're seeing how this twist finds us today. Breathing in nice and deep, toes still pointing up to the sky on that right foot. One more breath here. On the inhale, lift the heart, lift the arms, come back to center, let the hands come down and settle on the floor. We're going to swap over. So take the right foot out, bring the left foot into the thigh. And if this knee is floating in midair and is really uncomfortable, then grab some pillows, cushions, a blanket, block underneath it. Okay, sit up nice and tall. Inhale, open the arms, exhale. Okay, we're facing that long leg. We're taking the left hand and letting it rest somewhere on the outside of the straight leg. The right fingers find the floor. And then we lengthen through the spine. And on the exhale, we think about going forward a little more. Hinging from the hips, not rounding. We're not bending the tummy and rounding the back. So the inhale can bring us right back up if we want to. And then we exhale, trying to fold forward rather than round forward. Deliberately challenging the body in different shapes, challenging shapes, seeing if we can breathe through it. You're looking for a little stretch, a little twist that's right for you. Couple more breaths to finish off. And then the inhale lifts us out. Exhale, hands down to the floor. Legs can come together. And you're going to lift yourself off any support you had under the hips. Grab anything you're going to need in a while for relaxation. And ease yourself down to lying on your back, hugging the knees in, and enjoy having a little massage. Maybe you rock from side to side. Maybe you rest the hands lightly on the kneecaps, and circle the knees around one way and then the other. Let your back tell you what it needs. After those twists, give it a little love. This is effectively taking it into a gentle forward bend. And if you want to accentuate that, you can always lift your nose towards the knees. This is then the reverse of our child pose. But sometimes it's nice just to keep the head on the floor. And let the feet drop down, find the floor, bring the arms down beside you. Take the feet a little wider apart, rest the knees together. Constructive rest pose. Take a moment here. Decide if this is how you would like to stay for your relaxation. If you would prefer to, stretch one leg out long, then the other. Hip width apart, let the feet drop away from each other, toes drop out to the sides. And if you want to take a blanket and place it under your head, make sure that the chin is not higher than the forehead. It puts strain on the neck. So if you feel my chin's pointing up to the sky, next time make sure you've got a little something to place under the head so that the forehead and chin are at least level with each other. Maybe you want to cozy up under a blanket and gently closing your eyes when you're ready. Keep with the breath for now. So we can use this to take us into relaxation. Use the ujjayi or deep, smooth, long breaths. every exhale, we can let go a little more. Invite the muscles to soften. Check in with those classic places like the jaw. Can hold stress. Let there be a little bit of space between the teeth. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Let the tummy be soft. Feel that abdomen expanding and then relaxing down again with the breath. See if you can widen the hips on the floor as they melt down into the support. Let the arms and the legs be heavy. Fingers gently curled, palms facing up if that's comfortable for you. Toes not held in any particular way, soft and relaxed. Couple more controlled breaths, seeing how long and slow now you can make that exhale. Inviting any tension to melt away with the breath. And then release that control. So there's no control over how you're holding the body now or how you're breathing. The breath will settle into its natural rhythm once more. And you can choose to watch it, coming in and out of the body. The miracle of our breath. It's an automatic response, so we don't have to think about it. Our body won't let us not take that next inhale. Spending a couple of minutes now enjoying this relaxation, enjoying the freeness of the breath, the stillness, the silence. And then we can gently invite the breath to help us ease out of our relaxation. Taking any feelings of peace and calm that we've discovered, taking them with us. Let the inhale start to become deeper. Signals to the brain that we need to wake up the muscles a little. Start to make small movements with fingers and toes, suggesting we need a little oxygen being sent down now into the limbs as you gently stretch out, maybe have a yawn. If you want to, hugging the knees over the chest again. No rush with your movements. Maybe the head moves gently from side to side. In your own time, in your own way, making your way onto your right-hand side to rest there. And then slowly using the hands to press yourself up to a seated posture. And we'll use the breath to finish our practice, bringing the hands together in front of the heart. Take a nice inhale as we reach the hands out and up. You can look up if that's okay in the neck. And exhale, hands come down the center, releasing that breath. One more time like that. Energizing and then soothing. And if you want to, an Om Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Breathing into the heart space. And breathing out, taking a bow. Bowing to the practice that we've shared and to the power of the breath and all of the nourishment that it gives both our body and our mind. Namaste.